Many of my viewers have asked me to do a more in-depth critique of Yang. Yang 2020, the Yang Gang, what have you. I did a pretty in-depth critique when he first announced his bid for presidency with my friend Argent. But I would like to do a little bit more critique here to satiate your appetites. So, let's go to Yang's policy. I want to comment that this is a much slicker website than they had before that me and Argent looked through. But let's return to his three big policies: universal basic income, Medicare for all, human-centered capitalism, as well as an innumerable amount of planks. One policy of these planks was the most terrifying of all to me, and that was a social credit system. A social credit system is a system which seeks to punish someone financially and socially on the basis of their actions in relation to the society's morality. It is being enacted in China. And in a way, we can see that the social credit system is merely an extension of corporations' punishment for the dissident. The most terrifying punishment for the dissident of all, which is the financial institution's refusal to help them. So, we live in a society where values based on human beings have been abandoned or are being abandoned. Traditional values are being abandoned to make way for the transvaluation of all values. The transvaluation of all values, the destruction of culture by cultural pathogens, makes men into mere puppets for the elite. I thought that perhaps he abandoned the social credit system on pressure, on fear of those of his constituents, which compared it to that in China. But he just renamed it human-centered capitalism, or capitalism with a human face. Let's look here. Social credit. He still has it. As a president, he will. The government's goal should be done to drive individuals and organizations to find new ways to improve the standards of living of individuals and families on these dimensions. In order to spur development, the government should issue a new currency, the digital social credit, which can be converted into dollars and used to reward people and organizations who drive significant social value. And this new currency would allow people to measure the amount of good that they have done through various programs and actions. So, not only has he not abandoned it, he is deceptive and hid it under the Orwellian title of human-centered capitalism. So, let's consider what social credit in the United States would mean. Any transgression against the new values held by the cathedral and the elite, refusing, say, to accept that your 3-year-old boy is identifying as a girl. That's negative social credit. To have opinions against racial integration and miscegenation and unlimited immigration, that will be negative social credit. And on the inverse side, miscegenating yourself and supporting refugees into your community, when he is, of course, very, very anti-criminal justice. That is positive social credit. Now let's step back and think about Yang. Yang is a person for a moment. Yang is a man that's running for the Democratic Party. Yang is merely a manager of people. He does not put forward any deep ideals. He does not point forward to a new future or to a distant past of great ideals of America. He is merely a manager who whispers to Reddit, an Elon Musk with an Asian face, who seeks only to do technological pragmatism, not for the advancement of society towards a greater ideal, but only for the management of people which are cogs in the machine. Yang, perhaps, is an Asian, does not hate white people. They didn't enslave him or kick him off their land. So he's concerned about them as he's concerned about blacks and concerned about other Asians or Mexican Americans or Indian Americans. Concerned about them as a manager. That is all. He's merely a civil manager. Systems of pragmatism without ideals and without goals merely lead to entropy and decay. As we have seen in wealthy Middle Eastern states as the United Arab Emirates, when they enact universal basic income, it only leads to decline. The United States, the people are in decline. They're getting fat. They're getting arrogant. They're destroying their own families. They're being addicted to deviancy. That is just more entropy. Acceleration is nothing more than assisted suicide. So, let's get back to Yang. Yang is a Democrat. Yang would support the Supreme Court appointments of the Democratic Party. Now that means that he supports abortion and homosexual supremacy. Things which any religious person cannot support. That goes against your conscience. But he also is explicitly anti-gun rights and wants to disarm the people, like the feudal overlords of Japan and Europe disarm the people outlying swords, outlying polearms. He wants to disarm you, your great pragmatic manager, by taking away your firearms. The Democratic Party does not view the Supreme Court as a defender of the Constitution, but as a super legislative body to enact their reforms against the will of the people. So, he would enact his social credit system, which would allow the widespread persecution of dissidents financially. That his Supreme Court would find hate speech clauses, which could get you in prison de jure. So when you support Yang, you are merely committing suicide.